Generates interest in the U.S.
Police say two former Chinese military service members have been arrested in South Korea on espionage charges. Police say a 60-year-old Chinese national set up an interception device consisting of a software-defined radio receiver, an antenna, and a laptop at a hotel near an airbase jointly used by South Korean and U.S. forces in southern South Korea. The other suspect is accused of illegally gathering information about U.S. forces in the country. The United States stations about 28,500 troops in South Korea to help deter potential aggression from North Korea. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The World Health Organization says the fastest spreading Ebola outbreak ever in Congo actually started in February, months before it was officially declared in May. News and analysis at townhall.com. The one and only person to break the sound barrier in a car has his eye on another speed record.
British driver Andy Green set the land speed record for a diesel-powered car 20 years ago at Utah's famous Bonneville Salt Flats. Green returns to the lunar-like landscape Tuesday to try to beat that 350.092 mile-per-hour mark, this time with a hydrogen-powered car. The retired Royal Air Force fighter pilot aims to showcase the power of hydrogen as a clean energy alternative. Keith Peters reporting.
President Trump's social media company is going back to its roots. The parent of Truth Social says it's abandoning several new businesses, crypto, online betting, financial services, in order to refocus on building up the social media platform. The parent company, Trump Media and Technology, detailed new plans after posting big losses in the latest quarter. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning, everybody. It is not Michael Patrick Leahy. I am Tom Pappert, the lead reporter at the Tennessee Star, and I'll be co-hosting today with the one and only Judson Phillips. We have one heck of a show today. Here is your morning rundown. Judson and I are going to start with a discussion on the primaries in Tennessee. Do they spell concern in one of the deepest red portions of the state? Talking, of course, about Williamson County. But then, across the United States, the Democrats seem to have spent this year nominating some of the most extreme, radical, communist, socialist, Islamist in some cases, candidates they could find. It's like they found these people in the yellow pages or something under crazy lunatics. So we will see if that might have a impact on the midterms and potentially help Republicans with some energy. And then what is, of course, the Republican response? Well, we have some clips from President Trump, J.D. Vance, and even locally, Glenn Jacobs in Tennessee, Darlene Graham in South Carolina, and Glenn Youngkin that are offering a Republican answer to this sort of insane Democrat mold of a candidate that they've found for 2026. That is your morning rundown for Tuesday, August 11th, 2026, brought to you, of course, as it is every weekday by our friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. The Glock Store is the home for the Second Amendment practitioners in the United States of America. And on Saturday, September 19th, they're having an incredible event called Force on Force, which puts you into intense, realistic, live-action scenarios that test your marksmanship, your split-second decision-making. And you're armed at this event with a Glock 17T. The T stands for training. It fires simunition, which leaves a mark when you hit something or when you get hit. And what this event entails is you go through two different real-life based scenarios and get a professional performance evaluation at the end of each session. This is how special forces, SWAT teams, tactical operators all around the world train, and now it's open to the public, available in Nashville at the Glock Store. But this will likely be the last force-on-force training event this year, and there are only 2 sessions available with only 15 slots per session, so they're going to sell out. That's all there is to it. You need to go to glockstore.com /FOF, glockstore.com /FOF, for more information. Well, Judson Phillips, as I said, is here with me today. We are co-hosting together, piloting this craft as I try to clear my throat for the 100th time. Sorry about that, Judson, and sorry to the listeners. But
hey, welcome to the South. If it's a day that ends in Y, it's allergy season.
That's about right. Well, I wanted to talk about your article because it's one of many. I've been reading 2 or 3 of these that are sort of sounding the alarm, not about the general primaries for each political party that occurred last Thursday in Tennessee, but more so about the county level elections. Because for those who don't know, Tennessee holds like 3 elections a year in these midterm years. And the first one already occurred. The second one has just now occurred, and the third one will occur, of course, in November. And the county elections have already been decided for the year. And in Williamson County specifically, which is a Republican stronghold, it has been since the 1990s, and they have produced some of the most conservative candidates that Tennessee has ever voted on. Well, they have elected some Democrats. And Judson, I think your position is that the Republicans need to take this seriously.
Oh, absolutely. And, this is a lesson that Republicans need to learn, not just here in Tennessee, but everywhere. And I know, we're on the John Fredericks radio network, and, there's people outside of Middle Tennessee, and some of y'all are going, well, this is Middle Tennessee. I don't live here. I'm not interested. Trust me, the lessons apply here. Let me give you a quick backstory. I moved here 30 years ago. When I moved here, Williamson County had recently flipped from blue to red. It became very red. In the first couple of years I was there, excuse me, they had Democrats no longer held countywide elective office. If a Democrat wanted to run, they ran as an independent, not a Democrat, because the Democrat nomination was the kiss of death. Somebody even told me a joke one time. There's 3 Democrats left in Williamson County, and 2 of them haven't been heard from in years. Well, different story. When I moved in, the Williamson County Republican Party had this nice headquarters, very prominent location down on Main Street. And by the way, if you're not from the Middle Tennessee area, do an internet search for Franklin, Tennessee. You'll see the picturesque downtown, which is just amazing. You'll see the bucolic rolling hills. It's a great place, which makes you understand why so many people want to move here. But at that time, the Democrats could not even open a headquarters during campaign season, during an election season. That's how marginalized they were. They had no resources, they had no support, they had nothing. Over the years, that has changed. The Williamson County Republican Party, at one point, their headquarters was in an office suite, and I'm not even sure if it was staffed full-time. It is now in a warehouse district in Franklin, which is kind of hard to find, but I believe it is staffed full-time. Meanwhile, the Democrats, I think, benefiting a lot from people who came here during COVID, but also a lot of the corporate Williamson County's had a lot of corporations put offices here. Nissan, Schneider Electric, among others, Toyota. So there's some pretty big corporate offices here. And they brought in their people. So a lot of people are not just the blue state refugees who are escaping Illinois or California because, well, the taxes and just the environment there is so bad. You've got a lot of imports who are from these blue states who bring their blue state values with them. So now,
are you also getting some of the outgrowth from Nashville, which we should mention, of course, that this is a very common situation you see all over the country because Williamson County is bordering Davidson County, where Nashville, Tennessee is. Nashville, of course, is a far left city. You wouldn't know it because it's located in the South, but the politicians there would feel at home, if not a little bit to the left of Zoran Mondani if they were all in New York City. So I imagine as Nashville grows, Williamson County may be getting some of these wonderful voters as well, Judson.
Oh, I completely agree. There are a lot of people who have voted with their feet. The corporations coming in, some of their people want to be in the Williamson County schools as opposed to the Davidson County schools, which are horrible. And so you get a lot of that overflow too. So there's a lot of factors coming in for Williamson County's huge growth. But going on today, the Democrats have got a full-time party headquarters in a very prominent location. Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, used to say, in business, there's three things you need to consider: location, location, location. And I mean, they're very prominent, and I drive by them several times a week, and I see they've got their big sign out there. It says Democrat Party.
So Republicans, it sounds like a big part of this is they need to be visible. They need to have a fun place for people to volunteer. I mean, you're asking people to give their free time. Maybe it should be a nice place. And it should be somewhere that makes the party look as though it has some vibrance. We've got a little over 30 seconds left. Do you have any other advice before we maybe continue this discussion in the next segment?
Oh, I've got a lot of advice because, as people always remind me, I'm full of it. But yeah, let's go into the next segment. I'll talk a little bit more about what happened and what any local Republican Party needs to do to break out of this stupor that we're seeing in not just here, but in all the red states.
Because this is a big deal. Nationally, Republicans are doing great, but locally, they just can't do it. Trump can't endorse every candidate in every county race across the country. Don't go away. You're watching the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We'll be right back on the other side of this break.
Ponder this. Why would God permit evil to occur? Why does he allow bad things to happen to good people? Why doesn't he intercede when innocent people are unjustly accused? These questions sometimes cause good people to turn their face away from God and question the very existence of God. But God does exist, and he does permit evil. Why, you ask? The short answer is that God permits evil to bring about a greater good. Think about this. The greatest evil ever committed is the killing of our God, Jesus Christ, the second person of the Holy Trinity. From this great evil came the greatest good, the opening of the gates of heaven. That's right, heaven did not open until Christ shed his blood for us. We must always trust God's plan for our salvation, especially when hard times fall upon us. Pray, trust, and persevere in good times and bad. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
And they're off. This summer, the Thunder returns to Colonial Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays, packed with activities for all ages. Parking? Free. General admission? Free. Memories? Priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-690-6464. That's 800-690-6464. Again, that's 800-690-6464.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. I'm Tom Pappert, co-hosting today with conservative pundit and founder of the Tea Party Nation, Judson Phillips, who has some advice to county Republicans, local Republicans, to win elections without needing President Donald Trump to intervene personally. I'm putting the words in your mouth a little bit, Judson, but that seems to be the number one election strategy these days. Can I get the Trump endorsement? And not every candidate can get that. So what can those who are unable to secure the coveted Trump endorsement able to do?
Well, it's candidates run their campaigns, but you have political parties, and why do political parties exist? They exist for one reason: get candidates elected. It's that simple. If you don't want to get your candidates elected, go have a social club, go have a coffee club, meet every, month and, talk about what your favorite brew is. All right. So that's why political parties exist. Political parties do a lot of things that the candidates and even the campaigns cannot do. So what do they need to do? Well, let me go back to Williamson County as an example. In this most recent county election, Williamson County elected one Democrat to the county commission and one Democrat to the school board. Now, in Tennessee, like in Williamson County and most other counties like it, the county commission has 24 members. School board has 12 members. So it's 1 out of 12, 1 out of 24. That's not bad, although it's worse than it was. But the scary thought is several races were decided by less than 200 votes. To put that in more data terms, they were decided by less than 10%. Well, what do you do about that? Well, the answer is you have to have a robust get out the vote effort. And that's where the party comes in. You need party activists who are willing to do things. Go door to door. There were some groups out there, Americans for Prosperity, the Tennessee chapter, did a lot of door-to-door work. I know because they knocked on my door a bunch of times. And a couple of the campaigns did as well. But our local party didn't do anything. So this is
Judson, I just want to jump in because that is so important. And nationally, we've seen TPUSA in 2024, they were in a large sense President Trump's ground game, and they were doing this. They were knocking on doors. They were doing the voter registration. But again, I think this is a moment where county parties and state parties should reflect and understand that not every state is Arizona. Not every state is Pennsylvania. We can't all benefit from Charlie Kirk's organization bringing in thousands of activists who get paid, by the way, to go and knock on doors. And instead, I think maybe the solution would be to go to the Turning Point USA chapters who have kids that would love to engage in such activism and connect them with a county Republican Party. I mean, something like that seems like a no-brainer to me.
That is, but here's the even better strategy. And I'm going to use, again, as Tip O'Neill said, all politics is local. This is local for me, so I'm going to use this as the example. The Williamson County Republican Party. I looked on their calendar as I was writing my article about this for my Substack. If you're interested, it's just a search for the Substack Judson Phillips. I was researching, I was looking on the Williamson County website. Between now and the general election in November, there are no activities. The only thing they have up there is they put primary, or the election dates rather, the election day itself, and then we have about 2 weeks of early voting in Tennessee. All right, how do you fix this? You create more chapters of your party, and here's how this works. Organizational psychologists will tell you when you get a group of people together, a group will max out at about roughly 70 people, because in order to be able to successfully join a group, you have to be able to make personal connections. And if you cannot make those personal connections, you just don't stay in the group. This is, for example, why do you see so many small churches and such a few large churches? Well, the difference is the small churches get to their size and they stay at their size because they don't subdivide and create avenues for new people to come in, make those attachments that you need an organization to have to bring people in. All right, what is this for Republican parties? Republican parties, a county party needs different chapters. In a lot of areas, these are called clubs. You have a club. The club meets once a month. It is small enough where you have people who can come in, who can make that attachment, who can stay involved in the organization. But more importantly, once you get that core group in these individual clubs, you do what, for lack of a better term, would be called evangelism. You have the members of the club reach out to a friend, because we all know friends who feel the same way we do politically, but they're not involved. And they say, hey, come join me in this club. Come to this meeting. And not everybody will come. Not everybody who comes will become active, but a large number of them will. So
and I think you're talking, we should probably give some examples of this, by the way, because I'm sure everybody is immediately thinking of the young Republicans and the college Republicans, and our listeners may be thinking, well, that's not exactly something that I'm interested in. But elsewhere across the country, you have things like the Pachyderm Club, which is generally civic education. They bring in speakers and have monthly or weekly events. You have Republican women's associations. You even have groups like the Log Cabin Republicans. So I think, Judson, if I understand right, what you're suggesting is analogs, if not chapters, of these clubs should be established in places like Williamson County.
Yes and no. Yes, those are good, but no. Start with little geographic chapters. I was a part of a Republican Party in a larger county, in Shelby County, and they had smaller clubs. They had the East Memphis Republican Club, the Collierville Republican Club, etc. And these groups would have meetings. Some of them would do potlucks, and then they'd have speakers, but they were small enough and geographically local enough that you could get people involved. Tell you a quick story. I've been involved in politics, and I'm going to date myself. I've been involved in politics in the 80s, and then I went to law school, and I didn't have time for politics. It was just, I had too much on my plate. So I dropped out and didn't really get involved back again until after law school. And I was just kind of minding my own business. And one day a friend of mine reached out to me, a guy named David Kustoff. And if that name sounds familiar, he is the current congressman for Tennessee's 8th Congressional District. But he was a friend of mine. And he said, hey, I'm running for a county commission. Would you get involved in politics again? And that was the invitation it took to get me back in politics. And going back to what I said earlier, we all have friends who feel the same way we do, who vote the same way we do, who really don't get involved in politics. If you have a structure to invite them to, such as a local Republican club, it's real easy to go up to them and say, hey, Tom, our local Republican club is having a potluck dinner this Tuesday night. We're going to have speaker, whoever, the governor, state senator, whoever. Right. We're going to have this speaker. Yeah, it's about an hour and a half. Why don't you join me for it? It's a real easy ask. And, one of the things, if you ever get involved in sales, one of the things that sales trainers will tell you, once you make an ask, particularly if it's an easy ask, because you're asking for a little bit of their time, but you're not asking for a financial contribution, you're not asking for, a kidney, you're not asking for anything extravagant. But really
you get
hard
that yes.
It is very hard to say no to that. You get to yes pretty quickly. And next thing you know, if you have 20 people doing that and they're all inviting one friend a month, again, not everybody's going to say yes. And of those who say yes and who come, not every one of them are going to become, I would call them a permanent member, someone who's actively involved. But enough of them will come that within the space of a year, you could grow an entity from 20 people to 60 people. And those are the people that you will need to do phone banks, to do door knocking, to do other campaign sign placements, other things.
Right.
It's the heavy lifting of a campaign. And
Judson, I think you're exactly right. And I think this is a real solution to Republicans, especially as social media's importance seems to really be waning in 2026. I think that there was an election in Tennessee's 5th Congressional District that shows face-to-face interactions, networking with people in person, and building that rapport is actually maybe a little bit more important in 2026 than having a big social media account. And I think that is a big part of how Republicans continue to win at the local, state, and federal level into 2026 and 2028. Don't go away. When we come back, we'll keep talking about this and crazy Democrats.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98. Queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Trouble concentrating or recalling information is frustrating, embarrassing, and kills productivity. Nutrition company Healthy Cell created Focus and Recall to boost your brain power. Unlike other supplements that don't work, Focus and Recall is not a pill. It's a gel you swallow with ultra absorption of science-backed ingredients to help you immediately sharpen focus, concentrate longer, and strengthen recall. Go to healthycell.com and use code Godzilla for 20% off your first order. Risk-free. Love it or your money back. Guaranteed. Healthycell.com. Code Godzilla.
What happens in Virginia doesn't stay in Virginia. It influences policy and policymakers nationwide. The VirginiaStar.com shines a light on the issues in VA that become issues for the USA, with insightful commentary that gets to the fact of the matter. The VirginiaStar.com is your source of wisdom and truth, locally, statewide, and nationally. Log on today and every day. The VirginiaStar.com. The VirginiaStar.com.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee, MarkPody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another, are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
MarkPody.com.
Paid for by the campaign to elect Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
I'm Scott Desjardins, and I approve this message.
We will make America great again.
President Donald Trump has given his complete and total endorsement to Congressman Scott Desjardins, saying he fights for our military, veterans, law enforcement, and the Second Amendment.
I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump. I know together we've got to control inflation, secure our borders, and strengthen our military.
Scott Desjardins, representing the people of the 4th Congressional District.
With your support, we will make America great again. Paid for by friends of Scott Desjardins.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Well, I'm Tom Pappert, lead reporter at the Tennessee Star, here with Judson Phillips, founder of Tea Party Nation, longtime conservative pundit, and we spent the first half hour or so talking about some advice, really, for local Republican parties to be more effective in 2026, how to organize locally, how to draw in activists at the local level, and essentially how to stand up against the activism of the Democrats. And Judson, in the commercial, we were texting back and forth, and you brought up an excellent point that these are essentially many of the tactics that the Democratic Socialists of America have embraced. Local, hyper-local. Create your local club for your small town, for your section of your small town even, and then build up from there. Now, the difference is Republicans would be doing this for like basic common sense. We love America. Let's have a good economy. We want to have good policies in our local government. Whereas the Democratic Socialists of America are completely insane. Let's go to clip 1 and let's see. This is one of the chairs of the Democratic Socialists of America, one of the bigwigs at the party, and she has an interesting governing philosophy. Let's go to clip number 1.
But we do believe in taxing the hell out of millionaires. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what does taxing the hell out of them mean?
Yeah, you know, I don't have like a solid, but I think.
But shouldn't you? I mean, if you're the co-chair, of the DSA, shouldn't you be more specific than just taxing the hell out of something? What exactly do you mean?
So again, it's democracy, right? And we have to look at what we need to spend and what we need. We don't want to depend on the existence of millionaires because that means people are still getting exploited. So, so yeah, we need to look at what we need to pay for in the interim, what sort of tax base we need for that to happen, and then and build from there.
So they're not smart people, in other words, Judson. We need to tax the hell out of millionaires. Well, what does that mean? Do you have a tax rate in mind? Well, I haven't really thought it through. We can't be dependent on millionaires, but democracy. This is what we're up against. I think with a little bit of organization, we can beat them.
Yeah, well, first of all, clearly her brain cells are on the endangered species list, but yeah, here's how the DSA has been successful where it has been successful so far. It has won primary elections. Now, here's a little inside baseball for those who don't, or who are not political junkies who have to shoot up politics every day like some of the rest of us have to. Primary elections and special elections, which is where DSA has done really well, are typically low voter turnout events. Primaries, depending on where you're at, you will look at anywhere from 11 to 25% turnout of your voters. General elections in November, you get a much higher turnout. Again, your mileage will vary depending on where you're at. Well, the DSA is able to motivate a cadre, a core group of people, to get out and vote. And while a lot of other people are just being complacent, the Democrats, the Democrat establishment, they're going, maybe I'll show up, maybe I won't. They're getting their people out. And guess what? The future and government belongs to those who show up. And the DSA is showing up. The establishment isn't. And, the same can be said for Republicans in primaries as well. But let's stick with the DSA for the moment. Now, here's the really interesting question. We've had a lot of DSA nominees do pretty well. Now, some of them, such as there's one in Colorado, there's a couple in New York, they are in far left districts. I'm talking to D+20 districts. So whoever wins the primary is de facto the winner. The general really doesn't matter. But in a lot of states, the rubber's about to hit the road with the DSA because they're going to have to deal with not just the people in a district that is gerrymandered to make sure it's going to elect a Democrat. You've got to go statewide. In Wisconsin, you've got Francesca Hong, who is a DSA candidate for governor. She's going to win the Democrat nomination. And she's going to face a relatively sane Republican. And she's come out with crazy things like, oh, we ought to abolish Thanksgiving. We ought to defund the police, abolish prisons, et cetera, et cetera. Well, there are a lot of normie Americans, that's the term I like to use, who are going to hear that and are going to look at this woman and go, honey, you're bat guano crazy. And
well, I think that's right. And I always say, they're poised to make AOC, the Democrats, their presidential candidate in 2028. And I'm sure that she will get numbers, the likes of which have never been seen before, out of California and New York. And it's a good thing that we don't have a national popular vote, because there's no way that I can see for an AOC or a Democratic Socialist in general to win in a state like, say, Michigan or Pennsylvania, where they're going to have to win later this year. They've won some of their primaries in these states, and I don't think it's going to go well for them.
Yeah, Michigan, great example. Abdul Al-Sayed is now the nominee for the Senate from the Democrats. He's hardcore DSA. He pals around with Hassan Piker, who's the crazy influencer for the Democrats, the guy who openly cheers for mass migration to destroy America, the guy who says that he wants to bring in all these illegals and he says point blank, rape your sisters and rape your daughters.
Well, Well, he said America deserved 9/11, and then now he's got on his podcast set. I've got like a Trump mug and a MAGA hat behind me. That shows you a little bit of my politics and my set. Behind his shoulder in Hassan Piker's set, he has a picture of the Twin Towers burning. I'm not making this up.
Yeah, that is his belief. He has said he wants to see the streets run red with capitalist blood, and the fact that the DSA and the Democrats, for the most part, are not repudiating this guy, it's pretty alarming. Now, there are some sane Democrats who are starting to repudiate the DSA. James Carville, I thought I'd never call that guy sane, but he's just basically saying, hey, I will walk away from the party, if this is what the party is. Paul Begala.
Well, you see James Carville, I hate to be mean, but it's like he's been laying down recently, and then he's like, oh yeah, I just had surgery, and he's always in like a very sterile looking room. I think he's in a nursing home, Judson. I don't have proof, it's just a guess, but this is the last sane Democrat, the raging Cajun, who's like 85 years old and constantly recovering from medical maladies. It's not a good look for the party.
Yeah, well, look. James Carville looks like the crypt keeper in Tales from the Crypt. Okay, and I mean he's been around a long time, and I do give the guy credit because he took Clinton from basically nowhere to the presidency, and and by the way, for perspective purposes here, and I don't want to get off track, but for perspective purposes here, when the Gulf War finished in '91. George H.W. Bush had the highest popularity and approval rating ever recorded. It was outstanding. It was like 80%. It's just something unheard of. So I give him credit. And when he says he's walking away because of that, I listen. Paul Begala, another Clinton consigliere, has basically said the same thing. And there are some mainstream Democrats who are starting to realize that the DSA is not good for us, and even if you see Chuck Schumer, he gets asked some pointed questions sometimes about it, and he gets that big deer in the headlights look. It's like you want to ask him, Chuck, if this is a hostage video, blink twice. But
Judson, I think of even the late night host Bill Maher, who he said recently that he would vote for J.D. Vance. And the implication being over anybody even remotely associated with the Democratic Socialists of America. And it's just interesting to me because in exchange for this being like a halfway sane human being take that Maher offered, he's hated by Hassan Piker. We've actually got a clip, we'll air it in the next segment, of Hassan Piker responding to a clip of Bill Maher, and he's just mocking him. And I mean, you would think that he was listening to Sean Hannity.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the folks on that side are crazy. And what is really alarming is that a lot of Americans kind of don't realize what's going on. Now, granted, you've got the media, which is in the pocket of the far left. We have very little in the way of true conservative media. Most of it is just their propaganda arm for the left. But when you have people like Hassan Piker saying, we will make the streets run red with the blood of capitalists. You've got Sia Walker, who's Mandami's housing chief, who's talking about, we need to confiscate housing from the landlords. You've got others in the DSA saying we need to nationalize all these industries and take the money from them, confiscate the wealth of billionaires and millionaires. People should be
become mainstream.
Yeah, people should be going, this is absolutely insane. And hopefully some people are starting to realize what kind of danger, because these folks are actual communists, and realizing what kind of danger they represent.
The stakes are high. We'll be right back. We're going to show you a little bit of Hassan Piker's own words about Mamdani's chief in the next segment. Don't go away. You're watching the Michael Patrick Leahy Show.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Wagering at its finest, playing at the highest levels, under the highest stakes, for more than a decade. This is the world past the wire has conquered, bringing you uncompromised thoroughbred authority and elite track data that anchors the game. But the modern wagering landscape is expanding. Every sport, every line, every prop, and every high leverage future, we decode the metrics across the entire board. From game day spreads to the explosive new frontier of prediction markets and event contracts, we give you intelligence to dominate the modern financial exchanges. Because in the end, it's a battle. You versus the house. You versus the other players. In this arena, we fight with you. We are your ultimate edge. Welcome to the Ultimate Wagering Network. Subscribe to Past the Wire TV and turn on notifications, because when the dust settles,
nobody does it better.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. I'm Tom Pappert here with Judson Phillips. You know, we were just talking about Hassan Piker, this crazy Mamdani staffer, and believe it or not, Bill Maher. And we have a clip involving all three of these people setting this up. This is Hassan Piker listening to Bill Maher talk about the craziness going on in the Mamdani administration, and then he offers his thoughts. Let's go to clip number 7.
Mamdani's aide, his top aide, Sia Weaver, said if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize property, it's over, and impoverish the white middle class.
Beast mode. I love her so much. One of the things about Zoran is that the people surrounding him oftentimes are so much cooler than he is. but that's also part of the reason why I really respect what he's doing. She's awesome.
What? That's a goal?
Which that segment, Judson, that little 30-second clip, I think says everything people need to know about the Democratic Socialists of America. As crazy as Mamdani is, the Muslim Marxist from Manhattan Mamdani, as insane as this guy is, Hassan likes his staff members even more.
And they are more insane than Mamdani is. Sia Weaver, talks about the sacred right to seize property. And, that is utterly insane. Look at history. What has happened in nations that have seized property? Go back to the Bolshevik Revolution. It was a disaster. Go to China after Mao. It was a disaster. Look at Cuba. It was a disaster. Look at Venezuela. It was a disaster. Look at Cambodia. Not only was it a disaster, but half the population got murdered. As I like to say, communism brings you three things: tyranny, poverty, and mass murder. And, the Democrats, Piker, Mamdani, Weaver, Hong, all these people, they seem to be pretty cool with it. There's...
Well, El Sayed, you mentioned him, Abdul El Sayed in Michigan. Hassan Piker has endorsed him, acted as a surrogate for him. And El Sayed said, yeah, I know he said some unfortunate things when he was young, but I think he's moved past that now. I actually had a clip of Hassan Piker being elated with this, but we couldn't air it because it's so rare to find a clip of Hassan Piker where he doesn't drop a million F-bombs. He's not a very well-spoken individual. But this is what you do get. You don't get any peace, prosperity, or economic wonderful, happy times with communism, but you do get a destruction of an American favorite sport. Let's go to clip number 6 and see what El Sayed would offer.
Football is very much associated with a particularly masculine and oftentimes toxically masculine culture, and so much of it was about you wanted to be able to get back up and play for your team, and you really aren't allowed to show pain or vulnerability. That's part of the sport.
So we have to seize property. That is a sacred right. And football is toxic male, and we need to, the implication is, I guess, ban it or at least discourage kids from playing it. That's the Democratic Socialists of America messaging summed up in about 45 seconds, Judson, I think.
Yeah, and by the way, just a kind of a fun thing. El Sayed claims he was the captain of his football team, and nobody can find a photo or anything else. I don't even think they have a photo of him playing football. Is this, if we had a serious media that actually, was interested in journalism, interested in objectivity, they'd be ripping him apart like like Mark Sanford out of South Carolina. If you remember him a few years ago, he was sitting congressman, or maybe he was governor at the time, I can't remember. And he was supposedly hiking the Appalachian Trail. Well, guess what? He was with his Argentine girlfriend. His wife was not happy about that. Some journalists went after him. Well, guess what? Why did they go after him? Well, because he was a conservative Republican.
Right. Or think of George Santos, where once he was the nominee and then was elected, he was under the microscope constantly, and all of his let's say alleged tall tales were very quickly brought into the light, and then he was ejected from Congress. So that's what happens if it's a Republican. If it's a Democrat, though, you can stretch a little bit of your bio, let's say, and I guess nobody pays attention.
If it's a Republican candidate, the left-wing media is going to go after them to do everything they can to expose them. If it is a Democrat candidate, the left-wing media is going to go after the Republican candidate to do everything they can to expose and tear him down or her down.
We have a little bit of time. Let's give an example of this. This is clip number 8, AOC talking about Francesca Hong.
Standing is that Francesca Hong has made clear her present stances to
her electorate.
Yeah, she's moved away from a lot
Right,
of that.
she's moved away from it. And I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's
and I think that what's important is that.
So see, we're getting ready to go to break, Judson, but I want to get your thoughts on the next segment because that's an example of what you're talking about. If you're a Democrat and you say the most insane, unhinged thing that you could think of, all you have to do to excuse it is giggle and say, woke one was crazy. And then you're totally fine. You're off the hook. We'll be right back. Don't go away. On the other side of this hour, after you hear the news, you'll be back with me and Judson Phillips on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio Show.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFV Portsmouth. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. It was a grand deception, one specially designed to protect President Trump. In light of Iranian assassination threats, decoy aircraft were deployed to carry the president home safely from last month's NATO summit in Turkey. Instead of 18, the Trump administration now recommends youngsters be vaccinated against 11 childhood ailments. Part of an executive order. It's been signed by President Trump. Authorities in Yemen say Iranian-backed Houthi rebels have fired missiles at a vessel in a strategically important waterway. 4 people were killed. 179 and counting. The death toll from the latest earthquake to strike South America.
Search teams dug through the rubble in Cali, Colombia after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck, collapsing hundreds of buildings. By Monday afternoon, people had begun reporting their loved ones missing on digital databases. One listed more than 2,000, the number steadily climbing. Barbara Mello with World Vision.
A lot of people are in need right now.
She tells Sky children are of particular concern.
We as adults don't know how to react. Imagine the children.
The desperate scenes recall the search is still ongoing in neighboring Venezuela after it was devastated by powerful back-to-back earthquakes in June. It killed more than 6,300 people. I'm Ben Thomas.
Sales of existing homes took a dive last month, tumbling 1.7%. Record prices and highest mortgage rates in a year, depressing the housing market. Voters in 7 states casting ballots in today's primaries. One of the highest profile contests is in Wisconsin. That's where Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong seeks a Democratic nomination for governor. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 30 points. NASDAQ 8 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
A mining disaster in South Africa has claimed 14 lives.
Police in South Africa say the miners were found dead at a disused mine near the city of Rustenburg, around 80 miles northwest of Johannesburg. No more details on their circumstances have been made available. South Africa has tens of thousands of artisan miners working illegally in gold and platinum mines that are no longer being used by mining companies. The informal miners often operate without proper safety equipment. Rustenburg is a hub for platinum mining in South Africa, which has the largest platinum reserves in the world. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Russia has attacked Ukrainian cities with missiles, drones, and bombs, killing at least 9 civilians. Ukrainian President Zelensky says that Moscow is getting military help from North Korea. He says Russian forces used North Korean ballistic missiles in an attack on Zaporizhia, killing 6 civilians there. News and analysis at townhall.com. Sad news out of Big Bear Lake, California.
Jackie, the bald eagle, who with her partner Shadow became an internet sensation, has died. For more than a decade, nature lovers watched Jackie tend to her nest in California's San Bernardino Mountains through a camera installed by the nonprofit Friends of the Big Bear Valley back in 2015. The bird was rescued after reports she'd been injured in a fight with other eagles and had been receiving treatment for anemia and other ailments at the Ojai Raptor Center. But her condition worsened, and the center announced the eagle's death on Monday. I'm Jennifer King.
A yacht owned by Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg did not respond immediately to a call for help from a skiff. It ran out of fuel off the coast of Alaska. A Meta spokesman explains the crew did not immediately hear the radio call for help, and by the time the crew did hear that call, another vessel that was nearby had moved in to render assistance. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. I'm Tom Pappert, lead reporter at the Tennessee Star, here with Judson Phillips, a longtime conservative pundit and, of course, the founder of Tea Party Nation. We've been talking about the Democratic Socialists of America, and just in the commercial break, you sent me some news that just broke yesterday about the background of Abdul El-Sayed, the candidate in Michigan. And it turns out he was against a event back in college put on by local conservative students that was protesting radical Islamic terrorism. So I guess El-Sayed thought that that was offensive, maybe even Islamophobic, even though the students were opposing, again, radical Islamic terrorism. They weren't saying get the Muslims out of the country or anything xenophobic. This was about terrorism, Judson.
Absolutely. And it was an event that had 3 speakers in it, all former Muslims who had converted to Christianity, who were denouncing not Islam in general, but the extremism that results, that we see the result, 9/11, the first World Trade Center bombing in 1993, where we see, if you remember, the cops being beheaded in Egypt a few years back, and all kinds of things like that. They were denouncing that, and El Sayed helped organize the protest, and typical left-wing protest. They flooded the auditorium where the event was going to be held. They took all the seats so people who wanted to hear couldn't hear. They disrupted the event, and then ultimately all walked out at a prearranged time. And El Sayed's quote after all this, he was elated, and he was quoted in the paper, and his quote is, "We've done something good today, and we need to keep that going into the future." Now think about that for a second. You're objecting to the ideology that killed directly 3,000 Americans, indirectly, I don't even know what the total is, people who are exposed to the various substances from the buildings at 9/11, who developed cancer, who died, etc. You're protesting that. I mean, any sane person is going to look at this and go, yeah, that's objectionable. And here you have El Sayed, who's going, we objected to this. We disrupted this. And we did a good thing. Fortunately, I think you're going to see a lot of normie Americans who are looking at this and are going to say, look at him and just go, that dog won't hunt. You're just not going to have El Sayed or any of these DSA guys. And here's where the election is going to be very interesting this fall. We started to hit on this a little bit in the last segment. DSA does well in these primaries because they can get their people out. They've got very motivated voters. But what happens when you face normies? Right. Mike Rogers in Michigan, a lot of, I hate to use the term experts, but a lot of the experts think that's probably going to be a Republican Senate seat pickup because he's just going to bury El Sayed with all this craziness. Francesca Hong, probably going to get the nomination or will get the nomination today in Wisconsin. She's facing Tom Tiffany, and even despite the efforts of the left-wing media to put their thumb on the scale, Tom Tiffany, once he starts just trotting out all of her crazy ideas, should put the governor's house in Wisconsin back in Republican hands. And hopefully, the nice thing about that is, one of the truisms of politics, when the top of your ticket does well, all boats float in a rising tide, and It's the coattails effect. Hopefully that will help Republicans in Wisconsin across the board, particularly in their legislative races, to do better in the Wisconsin state legislature.
And Judson, we've been talking a lot about the Democratic Socialists of America aligned candidates, but the Democrats, well, even their normal white guy candidates are a little bit unhinged. And so I think this is something that conservatives need to take advantage of. For example, Tallarico in Texas, the Senate candidate, they've been saying Texas is in play yet again. And we've been hearing this ever since Beto O'Rourke lost to Ted Cruz. Well, now we're going to play it again with Tallarico versus Ken Paxton. And well, let's see what James Tallarico was saying 6 years ago during the year of George Floyd and the months and years that follow. This is from his church, by the way. He's not just speaking on a street corner. Let's go to clip number 2.
I learned what violence was at a very early age. My father was a high school dropout who had a drinking problem, and he oftentimes would become abusive. He actually spent time in jail himself. And when I was young, I hated my father for hurting me and my mother. I was glad he went to jail. But as I got older, I realized that the system never actually helped my father get better. Instead of ending his violence by treating his alcoholism, addressing his mental health issues, or giving him a high school diploma, they threw him in a cage, which only made things worse. I learned that violence is a problem that cages will never solve. When I say violence, I mean hurting oneself or others, physically, verbally, psychologically, spiritually. We all recognize domestic abuse as violence, but we don't always recognize the ways in which our systems hurt people every day. Poverty is violence. Pollution is violence. And yes, prison is violence.
Slight correction, that was at like a high school graduation event where Tallarico spoke. And yes, he said poverty is violence, pollution is violence, and prison is violence. His evidence being, I guess, that his dad had a drinking problem and the state did what is probably right and at some point put him behind bars, which did not solve the drinking problem. It may have made other people safer, though, but this is supposedly the normal candidate. Judson. This is the guy who is going to unite moderates in this great state of Texas against Ken Paxton because Ken Paxton has a small amount of baggage. And so I just bring this up to say that even the normal Democrats, to me, seem completely and utterly unhinged. And Tallarico, I just looked it up. He's not associated with the DSA. He's not endorsed by them. He's never said anything nice about them. This is your moderate Democrat saying we need to abolish prisons.
Democrats have normal guys?
I guess that's the point. Their normal guy is like a 5'6" oddball named James Tallarico.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, one of the things Democrats, the left, it does a pretty good job with is hijacking the language. And if you listen to the Democrats, all they talk about is prison as punishment, and we shouldn't punish people. Well, if you understand a little bit about criminal justice theory, prison serves a couple of purposes. First and foremost, there is punishment involved. If you get locked up for 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, that's a chunk of your life you're not getting back, and you're going to be stuck inside those four walls for quite a while. But there's another theory. It's called incapacitation. When you are locked up behind those four walls for whatever period of time, guess what? You can't go out and rob somebody on the street corner. You can't go out and assault somebody. You can't go out and fill in the blank, whichever crime you want. And that's a very important part of criminal justice. When you take these people out of circulation, because when you take them out of circulation, they cannot commit crimes against the general populace. And that is why we have prisons. That is why we have police departments. That's why we have prosecutors, to keep real Americans safe.
Well, and especially against repeat offenders, which it sounds like is what James Tallarico was talking about. I don't know the backstory there, but that's what I got from his speech. Don't go away. We're going to talk about the Republican response to the DSA insanity and the Tallarico insanity on the other side. Don't go away. You're watching with Tom Pappert and Judson Phillips, the Michael Patrick Leahy Show.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
And they're off. This summer, the Thunder returns to Colonial Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays, packed with activities for all ages. Parking? Free. General admission? Free. Memories? Priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
Every morning, your Godzilla of Truth sets the table with the day's news. Starting August 17th at 10, Wendy Bell goes live with reaction and her own fiery fabulosity.
And I want MAGA to grow a wave of red, the likes of which you've never seen.
August 17th.
You're on the cusp of a golden age.
Wendy Bell, are you ready to go? Weekdays 10 to noon. On the John Fredericks Media Network.
Trump 2.0 is in full effect. How do you keep up with all the action? I'll tell you. TrumpNationNews.com is your inside source for the inside scoop. Manufacturing, jobs, deportations, and the nation's rejuvenation. The first 100 days and beyond. All the news you need and no liberal gibberish. It's the perfect way to start your day. Sign up for the TNN newsletter. Do it today. TrumpNationNews.com. TrumpNationNews.com. Part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of three who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. I'm Tom Pappert here with Judson Phillips. We've been talking about the Democratic Socialists of America and how absurd they are and how it's likely going to work out well for Republicans in the midterms as a result. Well, President Trump was asked about this nascent Democratic movement yesterday in the Oval Office. Let's play clip number 14 right now.
But when you look at the radicalism and the craziness of the candidates and the stupidity of what they're suggesting, let's get rid of the Supreme Court, let's get rid of the presidency, let's get rid of the Senate. They want to get, sometimes I'd like to get rid of the Senate too, but I don't say it, and I wouldn't do it. But, they want to get rid of the Senate, they want to get rid of, ideally, the House, but they're thinking about maybe keeping the House, Isn't that nice? These are people that have been not successful. They're people that have been, in many cases, failures. They come from other failed countries, and they come here and they tell us how to run our country. They come from places like, I won't mention because I don't want to get myself into a controversy, but they come from countries that are not great. They come from, let's say, as an example, Somalia. They come in and then they tell us how our Constitution, how our Declaration of Independence, how it works. It doesn't work that way, and they're not smart. They have no aptitude. They have nothing going, and they're telling us how to run our country. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that they start off, now I may be wrong, but they start off with a big disadvantage. People don't want to have radical lunatics involved in running our country, and that's
I think President Trump is right. He sounds a lot like what we were saying, Judson. And to back him up, Carolyn Lovett, and then we'll respond and break down some of the races happening around the country. But Carolyn Levitt was asked yesterday.
And just allowing complete lawlessness and chaos across our country. We had 4 years of that under Joe Biden. Thanks to President Trump and Republicans and common sense policies across the board, our country is safer. Our country is more affordable. We cannot allow these radical, extreme, far left liberals to take power. We have steady progress under President Trump right now.
Love to hear your thoughts, though.
They are right on point with that, and they're hitting it hard. But what we need are candidates out there and the Republican machinery to amplify that message. And the problem we've got with, and this is something I've talked about with Michael on a number of occasions. In the Republican hierarchy, you've got all these campaign consultants who are approved and whatever by the GOP. And these guys are worse than horrible. The North Carolina race is the quintessential example right now. Mike Whatley ought to be just kicking Roy Cooper all over the place. Roy Cooper is up. Last I saw was 50-43. And when you have a candidate that's over 50% in initial polling, I mean, that is not good news. Now, granted, this is not an incumbent. These are, well, technically he is an incumbent, just not for this office.
Right,
but,
different race.
It's when you have an incumbent up, or you have a candidate up 50% or more, it really doesn't matter how your undecideds break at that point, because the guy's already got a majority. Whatley's team is just giving these generic commercials, with him in one of those sports vest type things, and just kind of reciting talking points without really hitting the other guy hard. And I'm sorry, Whatley and the Republicans need to be taking a baseball bat to this guy. This is what the Republicans need to be doing nationwide. They need to be getting some consultants out there who are, and ad people who are take no prisoners, no holds barred. As a friend of mine likes to say, gently placing the ice pick into the eyeball next to the skull. And these are the people you need right now with the messaging out there to rip these people apart. Not the guys who want to be friends at the next cocktail party with the Democrats.
Well, and it's so weird, Judson, because, and I don't know that this happened in North Carolina. I kind of think it did, though. But these consultants have been so vicious in 2026 in the primary, when it's Republican, red on red violence. But then when you're going against a Roy Cooper in a state like North Carolina, who he would absolutely bend over and allow the DSA to run the state. Let's be honest. He is a party man. He would go along to get along. So I think it's absolutely insane that they are not running the messaging that the president is going with, that the press secretary for the White House, Carolyn Levitt, is going with. And I think that is a major course correction that needs to take place that you've identified there.
It is nuts. And when you look at what does the electorate want? All right, what is going to motivate voters? Number one, safety is always a primary issue. And the fact that Roy Cooper as governor fell all over himself, not only during the BLM riots of 2020, but wanted to help illegal aliens over Americans, did not want to cooperate with ICE. And this is the whole Democrat agenda right now. Shut prisons down, empty prisons. Well, guess what? Do you want some guys just running up and down your street, kicking your door in with guns, taking everything that you've got? No, nobody does. The other bread and butter issues, jobs. It's crucial. And unfortunately, President Trump is not helping us with this, because he's a big supporter of these guest worker visas, which we need to eliminate to get full employment for Americans. But these are the issues that we need to be ripping the Democrats left and right on, of how they prioritize everybody else over Americans, how they want Americans not only to compete locally for the job, but you got to compete with everybody else in the world for your job here in your city. And it's utterly insane.
Judson, something else. They need to do a better job of explaining what the administration has done, because it's hard to say which policies exactly moved the needle, but we know for a fact that since 2025, the foreign-born employment has gone down by about 1.5 million, whereas domestic-born employment, Americans getting jobs, has increased by about 1.6 million. So we know that good things are happening. We can see it in the data, but for some reason, people like Michael Whatley are not able to use this to win an election that should be a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Another interesting statistic that came out, every place where ICE has gone and done a major operation, rent prices have dropped substantially. And, well, you think about it.
Makes perfect sense.
We have, with all the illegals that Biden just welcomed into the country, they are taking up housing stock. And so that's creating a shortage. And when you have a shortage, that constricts the market and prices go up. It's your simple, if you ever studied basic economics, it's your simple supply and demand curve.
Supply and demand.
Demand is up and supply isn't.
And by the way, who does it hurt the worst? Because you get these people that are coming into the country to work in, dead-end jobs where they're not making very much money. Well, they're going to compete for the low-income housing, the very housing that we're always hearing we need more of. We don't have enough low-income housing. We need to do special tax incentives for low-income housing. Maybe we should just kick out the illegal aliens that are taking up the low-income housing, and suddenly it will be available. We're going to talk more about some races around the country and the Republican response as we head into the fiercest part of the midterms here on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Folks, this is Crime Carmichael, CEO of Solti. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Solti. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Solti for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Solti. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
Everybody's talking about weight loss injections because the results are so dramatic. They work by lowering blood sugar and reducing appetite. So, what if you're looking to lose weight but not interested in painful weekly injections, especially when you hear about some of those intense side effects? That's why doctors created a weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are remarkable. The ingredients studied in Lean have been shown to lower your blood sugar, burn fat by converting it into energy, and curb your appetite and cravings, so you're not as hungry. But listen, Lean is not for the casual dieter with only a few pounds to lose. The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created Lean for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. Get started with 20% off and free rush shipping so you can add Lean to your healthy diet and exercise plan. Go to TakeLean.com and enter the code Godzilla for your discount. That's discount code Godzilla at TakeLean.com.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98. Queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee, markpody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
markpody.com.
Paid for by the campaign to elect Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
I'm Scott Desjardins, and I approve this message.
We will make America great again.
President Donald Trump has given his complete and total endorsement to Congressman Scott Desjardins, saying he fights for our military, veterans, law enforcement, and the Second Amendment.
I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump. I know together we've got to control inflation, secure our borders, and strengthen our military.
Scott Desjardins, representing the people of the 4th Congressional District.
With your support, we will make America great again. Paid for by friends of Scott Desjardins.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. I'm Tom Pappert here with Judson Phillips. We're talking about the Republican messaging going into the midterms, and we sort of expressed our disappointment with the messaging that we're hearing in North Carolina, but in neighboring South Carolina, it's a little bit different of a story. They're doing their part 2 to the Senate primary contest as we speak after the tragic passing of the late Lindsey Graham. And, well, let's hear from his sister, Senator Darlene Graham, who is campaigning for the Republican nomination for his seat. Let's go to clip number 13.
You know I'm a conservative fighter. I think it's ridiculous that the Save America Act hasn't passed yet, and I'm willing to end the Senate filibuster to get it done. I voted to stay through recess to pass the legislation. Unfortunately, too many others wanted to go home. But I'm not willing to let this fight go. I will continue to work hard when we return to get this critical legislation passed.
So, Judson, there you have Darlene Graham. And Graham is not a last name that people will often associate with being good MAGA fighters, though Lindsey Graham was a sponsor of the SAVE Act. But Darlene Graham saying that she is going to back passing the SAVE Act, would stay home over the break if they had enough votes to make that happen, and is going to back this legislation to the hilt. I think that is good messaging, and there's some polling that you sent me that, or it's not really polling yet, it's some early preliminary results, let's say, that suggest that level of messaging, that sort of messaging, might get Darlene Graham into a runoff.
Yeah, a friend of mine is a pollster. He's also a consultant. He is one of the people that if you ever want someone, he does ads as well, and if you ever want someone who believes in no prisoners being taken, I mean, this is the guy you want. His name's Rick Shafton, good guy. He's done a little bit of tracking polling in South Carolina, and he put this on his Twitter feed or X feed. I'm not even sure what the proper terminology is these days, but and he was pretty upfront with saying this is really not enough for me to put a full-fledged poll out, but here's some info. Here's what I'm tracking. South Carolina's got a primary coming up, and it's a fractured primary. You have got a lot of candidates that have jumped in there. At least 2 congressmen. You've got obviously Darlene Graham, the sitting senator. Former Governor Mark Sanford has jumped in. I can't remember if Nancy Mace has jumped into this one or not. I know she wanted to, but I can't remember if she pulled the trigger. But anyway, you've got a fairly large number of people. And South Carolina is a runoff state, as opposed to a winner-take-all state. Winner-take-all, you get one more vote than anybody else, you're in, regardless of how many you get. Runoff, if nobody gets 50%, the top 2 go to a special runoff. And here's what he's projecting based on the limited amount of polling he's done, that there will be a runoff, and it will be between Darlene Graham and Congressman Ralph Norman. And at the end of the day, he thinks that Ralph Norman will win. Now, Phillips' rule of politics number 2, always vote for the upgrade. Ralph Norman is a definite upgrade over either of the Grahams. There's just no question. He's got a solid conservative record. You can look at his voting record, see what he has done. And if you look, Darlene Graham, maybe she's great, maybe she isn't, but she's a real unknown here. And we've got enough trouble in the Senate as it is without an unknown. How is she going to vote? My guess is she will vote the way the establishment tells her to vote. You've got Trump has endorsed her, and that's regrettable because as much as I like Trump, some of his endorsements have not been the best in the world. I mean, he's just chosen some folks, and you sit there and look at them and go, what were you thinking?
One thing about Trump, we've seen in Tennessee's 5th congressional district, and I like Andy Ogles, just for the record. I feel like I've been being mean to him since he lost the primary, but it was the very day after Charlie Hatcher had the upset victory and won that primary that Trump put out on Truth Social, I endorsed Andy Ogles out of loyalty, but I knew he would have a very hard time winning against Charlie. I now endorse Charlie. So while Trump has endorsed Darlene Graham, some of these endorsements have not been as strenuous as one might imagine, let's say.
Yeah, and Andy's been a friend of mine for 20 some odd years. Good guy, I like him. He had a lot of self-inflicted injuries in the campaign, not the least of which is he just didn't do fundraising well. By the time you're into your 3rd term in Congress, you should have a fundraising juggernaut in place. And that didn't help him. Redistricting really didn't help him that much. And so, it is what it is. But going back to South Carolina, we've got Darlene Graham. She's been there, but she's really an unknown. Thune and all the GOP establishment are supporting her, which at least in my mind is a bit of a red flag because let's face it, Thune has been a huge disappointment as the majority leader. He's not getting things done. He's just kind of, making sure the trains run on time, and that's about it. We haven't got the SAVE Act passed. We haven't got, none of the DOGE budget cuts have been codified. Trump is
it's been nothing since the big, beautiful bill. And what a brilliant move that was of Trump and basically Mike Johnson to get so much. I've done estimates that it's like 85% of Trump's agenda in that one big, beautiful bill at the beginning of the administration. The problem is, as you're pointing out, it's now been a year and a half. That's like ancient history as far as the average voter is concerned. And there was so much bad messaging around the big, beautiful bill from people who really are now just totally aligned against the Republican Party that I don't even know if voters understand how good that legislation was. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we need a new big victory in the Senate. It's unfortunate that might not even come before midterms, but if the Republican establishment were in charge, it might not ever come.
Well, they are, and it won't come. The SAVE Act, it should be the mother of all no-brainers. This is something that 80% of Americans, Republican, Democrat, Independent, they all approve of. And so this is one why, and of course this helps eliminate Democrat fraud, which means we would have more Republicans elected. Why don't they do this? Well, as I've had many a Republican tell me, a lot of Republicans up in D.C. are quite happy being in the minority because they get to, play congressman, play senator. They can scream all they want. They can go do their fundraisers, raise money, make money, but they don't have to do anything. And when you're in the majority, you got to do something. And so, this is why nothing is happening. But this is one I remain absolutely gobsmacked by. But then again, you look at John Thune. The Republican leadership in the Senate has become very ossified. It's the next man in line. John Cornyn's now gotten knocked out of line thanks to the voters in Texas. But John Barrasso would be next after him. But John Thune, the problem with John Thune is he is not a leader, he is a manager. And there's a huge difference. Managers just kind of get things done. Leaders achieve. And if you look at historic leaders in the Senate, Harry Reid, for example, couldn't stand the guy, but when he was the majority leader, they wanted something passed, it got passed. He pulled people into rooms, he knocked heads together, he did what, probably all kinds of interesting threats.
Even Mitch McConnell. I mean, the whole reason we don't have Merrick Garland, who we now know from the Biden years is like the most radical, insane lawyer in the country. The whole reason that guy isn't a Supreme Court justice is because Mitch McConnell, I think, did something that John Thune would not have the backbone to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But, what you need is a leader who will go in, grab these people by the scruff of the neck and tell them, take the Lisa Murkowskis, the Susan Collins, all the people who are the normal, I'm not going to do it, get them in the room and say, you are going to do it, or I'm going to make your life miserable if, for...
Which they hold a lot of purse strings.
Yeah.
They could do that so easily. I mean, Susan Collins could not win re-election without the NRSC, as far as I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. You tell them, look, you want to get reelected, you want the money to do it, here's how it's going to happen. John Cornyn, you want to be a lobbyist once you're done in here? If you don't vote for this bill, I can promise you not a single member of the Republican caucus will take your call. And you just go, you do that kind of ruthless leadership and you make things happen. Thune,
controversial opinion. I think that's a little bit of the leadership that we're seeing in the House under Mike Johnson. There's been some evidence even in Tennessee. John Rose last year voted against the majority, said he wanted to meet with Trump, had a 15 meeting with Mike Johnson, and all of a sudden he voted with the majority. So I was hoping that we would see the same level from the Senate and Thune, but we just haven't, even in the slightest. Judson, we got about 30 seconds left. Final word on this?
I was just going to say, Mike Johnson has grown as a leader, grown in a good way, which I really admire because he was kind of the manager when he started, and now he's becoming more of a leader. Now, the question is, will we still have him as speaker when we go into 2027? Don't know yet.
That is a good question. I've got two candidates who sort of have different versions of a midterm campaign. I'd like to get your thoughts on them, Judson. We'll be right back. Don't go away. You're watching the Michael Patrick Leahy Show.
Ponder this. It's amazing how many of us choose to go about our daily life without recognizing others who cross our paths each day. Take, for example, your morning walk, run, or workout at the gym. As we encounter others, often we don't make eye contact, let alone smile or greet each other. Listening to music or a podcast with our earbuds is so much more preferable than having to greet others we encounter. As a result, people are becoming more and more disconnected from each other. So let's start a human connection trend. Here's an experiment for you to try. Put your phone and earbuds away for a day while in public. Try to engage others in your path with a simple smile and a kind hello. These simple gestures will become a powerful force in the world. A smile costs nothing, but can be a powerful tool to brighten the day for others. Let your smile be a light for all to see. It's a gesture of love from the Lord. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
And they're off. This summer, the Thunder returns to Colonial Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays, packed with activities for all ages. Parking, free. General admission, free. Memories, priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your sat phone. Call now. The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's the top news of the day.
People are out there saying, oh, the Iranians are never going to live by it. But let me tell you something. President Trump is going to bomb them again if they screw around.
Hopefully they live up to it. And if not, the pounding's coming. We're going to do it again and again and again.
The Cats and Cosby Show, weekdays 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the stations of the John Fredericks Media Network.
Trump is the toughest president we ever had.
Well, he's definitely the best bomber.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. I'm Tom Pappert, lead reporter at the Tennessee Star. I've been here with Judson Phillips, who is a conservative pundit and founder of Tea Party Nation. We've been talking about everything from the Democratic Socialists to now how the Republicans are responding and whether we will still have a Republican majority in the House, the Senate, at all come next year. I think there's a good chance for it. I want to hear Judson's thoughts, though. There's 2 candidates of note in Wisconsin. Tom Tiffany, who's running for governor, looks like he's got a chance. And then Mike Alfonso, who is the Trump-endorsed candidate who is running for Tom Tiffany's seat that will be vacating as he hopefully becomes governor. Let's go now to that first clip, clip number 12. And I want to hear Judson's thoughts on this kind of messaging going into the midterms.
Your message to those people that are being lured to DSA. You have a Cuban descent. That's part of your story. What would your warning be to them?
My warning would be the exact same one that my grandfather told me. I had a country to run to. You don't. This is the last bastion of freedom. Where are we going to go? Canada, it's even worse. Mexico, it's even worse. America is the last chance for Christian freedom, and we need to protect it down to the absolute last person.
Now, that was crystallized, it was short, it was simple, and it was coming from a young and energetic speaker. Then I think that helps. Judson, do you think that's enough? Is the warning of what could come if we allow the country to fall to the DSA? Do you think that's effective messaging?
Absolutely. Because we can point out what has happened every time someone has tried to implement those policies. You saw it in the old Soviet Union. You saw it in the People's Republic of China. You saw it in Eastern Europe. You saw it in Cuba, Venezuela. I can go down the litany of countries that fell under communism and things got bad. I mentioned it earlier in the show. You get three things out of communism: poverty, tyranny, and mass murder. And, who wants that? I certainly don't. And, he's absolutely right. If the United States were to fall to this type of tyranny, where do we go? Western Europe is going down much faster than we are. Australia, New Zealand, they're not doing really well. Mexico is a failed state. Canada is we talk about how badly we're doing, and Canada looks at us and goes, "Here, hold my beer."
It's like a communist satellite state. And I don't think Elon Musk is going to have Mars ready in time either.
No, and what's truly alarming is that these kind of people would want to put Elon Musk in prison. And you can like Elon or not like Elon. I admire him a lot because if you look at his level of innovation, from Tesla, which he bought, he didn't found it, SpaceX, which he did found, going back, he was one of the founders of PayPal. And even before that, if you remember zip files, which I guess are still used some, he wrote one of the first programs that helped create zip files. So he's been innovating for a long time. And if it weren't for him, we'd still be doing rocket launches the old-fashioned way, fire up an expensive rocket into space, which is not recovered, so you have completely sunk costs. And then if you want to launch another rocket, you got to go build one. Whereas you've got some SpaceX rockets that have been used like 30 times or more. And now we're going to have, hopefully later this month, they're going to have another Starship launch where I think they're going to recover either one or both parts of the rocket so they can try to reuse them. So I'm going a little off track here, but we don't.
No, you're exactly right. What does it say that one of the biggest innovators of the 21st century so far, Elon Musk, is backing the Republican Party because he knows what's on the other side of the DSA. He's an immigrant from South Africa. He knows how this story ends. And reports are, I just came out last week, I think, he's going to spend $120 million on what you were talking about, get out the vote and door knocking for Republicans in the midterms.
Here's the one, and I know we're coming up kind of close to the end, but here's the important thing for the fall. For Republicans, ads are great, but ads don't move the needle that much. And especially in this age now, TV ads don't do it. You need the kind of Spencer Pratt type ads that go viral. Those will move the needle a bit. But what you really need are boots on the ground, people who will go out knocking on doors, talking to people, doing phone banks, but those are harder to do now because of, like my phone has a call screening feature. And if you haven't called me in the past, or if I don't have you down as a contact, you're going to get screened.
Well, there's even innovative ways. I get text messages now where, they want me to text back. I'm not a big texter, but I know other people my age and younger are. Yeah. So I think that's right. I think interacting with the voters is the key. Judson Phillips, I hope that we can continue this type of conversation on Friday when we're back guest hosting. Michael Patrick Leahy will, of course, be back tomorrow in the host seat. Judson, where can folks find you online? How do they get to your Substack?
Oh, they don't. I'm carefully hidden. Actually, I don't know the link, but if you Google Judson Phillips Substack, you'll find it. And yeah, so you'll find some of my work there, and more coming soon.
Well said. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Tom Pappert. Stay tuned, though. Good radio lies ahead.